Welcome to God with George Ortega. This is episode number 51. I'm recording it on Thursday, December 31st, 2020 on New Year's Eve. And in about 22 minutes, it will be the new year. So, I figured this would be a great way to spend the new year, just kind of like talking with God, about God. So let's see. All right. So I gotta talk for 28 minutes now. That's all right. I enjoy it. What I recorded, what God had me, again, the point of this show, and I've got to keep stressing it for myself, for you, for the world, whatever. The point of this show is to motivate myself and everyone else to get closer, be closer to God, closer to virtue, closer to wisdom, closer to this God's being. I mean, and when I say God, like, all right, I've got God in one sense, in the most complete sense, means everything. All right, so, but like when we're talking about getting closer to God, we aren't necessarily talking about getting closer to everything per se. I mean, like what happens, a gazillion light years from here, if the universe travel is that long, I don't know. I mean, like, because that again, like an infinite universe. I mean, that boggles the mind. But anyway, like, so we don't have to connect to the entirety of God to kind of like have this. What we're trying to do is have this God consciousness. And that's the purpose of this. I've been drinking. I mean, it's New Year's. What can I tell you? So anyway, so God wants me to talk about like I had to wait a few minutes before starting this episode after the last one, which I recorded right before this one, because I wanted to have this one go through the new year. I wanted to ring in the new year on this episode. So before this episode, God had me go, to my Smool. If you want to check out some amazing bass guitar playing, this guy is awesome. I mean, like, God just makes him do whatever he does. He can't take any credit for it, but like, go to smool.com. It's Smool. It's not smile. It's Smool with a U instead of an I. Smool.com/57 George. Okay, and that's me. So like, anyway, so like, yeah, God has me playing bass guitar, which is pretty amazing. You got to talk about this. I mean, because like, all right, yes, this is related to God. It may not seem so, but it really is. Here's the story, the relating of it. For years and years and years, God had me play lead guitar. Didn't want, I mean, I know how to play rhythm guitar, but that involves memorizing chords, memorizing chords, chord progressions for the song. You got to remember the song. And my mind just refuses to do that. So God said, all right, fine, you're not going to do that. You're going to be a lead guitarist. And God had me thinking that way for several decades. Then, lo and behold, about 16 months ago, okay, God put the thought in my mind, maybe I'm basically, all right, no, I got to backtrack. And this, I don't know how much about God this exactly is, but it's New Year's Eve, and what can I tell you? So the idea, I like to play guitar, all right? And I like to play guitar through the entire song, not just, in other words, like if you're a rhythm guitarist, you can pretty much do that. If you're a lead guitarist, not so much, at least not, conventionally. So I was trying actually to change the convention. And I'm not saying It can't be done. I'm just saying that I'm not good enough. I think you have to be really, really, really good to be able to do this. And the idea is to be able to play lead guitar through an entire song. One of the reasons it's so difficult is because you're playing notes in the same octave as the melody generally, a lot of the melody. Whereas like, and that's so anyway, so about 16 months ago, God has me, puts a thought in my mind. I don't remember, you know, exactly, but something to the effect that let's try doing this with bass guitar. Let's try playing, you know, well, no, I think initially, God just had me, all right, this guitar stuff isn't working out. Try the bass again. And so I start playing the bass. And again, like, when this is not about God. It is about God because God's making me do this and I don't know what he's doing, but I'm going along with it and it's working. And this is what happens with all of us. Sometimes we understand God's ways, sometimes we don't. So anyway, so like God initially has me just basically playing, I guess, to enjoy playing, But then God has me realize that that because a bass guitar is an octave lower than a regular guitar, it is much, much easier to play what's known in music as a counter melody throughout the entire song, to essentially play lead on a bass guitar. So it's pretty interesting how God had me wait several decades to have me. I mean, like, had I known that when I was 24, 25, 30, I'd have been a rock star. I'd absolutely been a rock star. I can't tell you. But, for whatever reason, God chose to have me make this realization now. And which, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I've stopped trying to decipher God's ways. I have no idea why God does what God does, but God does. So anyways, so basically God had me, in the intermission between these two episodes, play two songs. The first is your song that has a very special personal meaning for me and the person for whom it's intended. And another song that just came to my mind, I was thinking, well, I had time to play another song. And when I was in college, my favorite song, we used to like have dances. There was one in the Rathskeller, the social hall, whatever. And it was by the Doobie Brothers, Listen to the Music. And I used to love to dance to that song. Oh my God, that was like the most fun song to dance to, and especially being drunk and stuff. But anyway, so I played that, and I think both came out pretty good. An interesting thing about the alcohol is just like when you're trying to play an instrument, you're battling anxiety. You're trying to trying to be relaxed and smooth and calm. So the beer helps with that. So like I think I did a relatively good rendition of those. But here's the thing. In our standard, and here's where God comes in big time, baby. So in our time, in today's world, when somebody does something um, of any value, I mean, whatever value that is, I think that I'm playing really good bass, when we do things that we consider good, you know, because of our mistaken understanding of God, we attribute this stuff to ourselves. We say, oh my God, I am so great. Look at what I can do. And yeah, you can feel good like that, right? But when we attribute things like that to ourselves, that we did it of our own free will, kind of like invites a bit of arrogance, you know? Whereas, like, when we understand, well, wait a minute, I didn't give myself the aptitudes, the abilities, the skills, the knowledge, whatever it takes to do whatever I did. that was God. It was all God, because otherwise, like we'd just be whoever we wanted to be. I mean, that's the reality. Um, so, all right. Hold on. We've got about 12 minutes till the new year. Now, God just had me apparently, because I just lost my train of thought. God made me lose my train of thought. And now God has me thinking and talking about, oh, it's 12 minutes before the New Year's. Don't you think you should be talking about the new year? Okay. All right. So, and actually, I've got 17 minutes to go on my clock. So, I'm beyond the new year. All right. So, anyway, so yes, a new year. Um, yeah, we have one every year. What can I tell you? It's a new year. Yes, it's a different year. I mean, it bodes to be better, than last year. Last year was very challenging. And again, we were being punished by God for our indiscretions, among which are eating animals, which is really, see that sign I got back there? Mercy for farm animals. I mean, like, my God, I mean, like, and I feel bad about kind of like, you know, trying to be somewhat humorous about it because it's just like not funny. But yeah, this is like, you know, that's our understanding of God. Wow, I thought I was going to talk about the New Year's. Now God has me talking about animal abuse. Um, yeah, I mean, see, the harmful effect of the belief in free will is that it places that burden of blame on us. And we know what we're doing is horrible. We know this. I mean, like, anybody who's seen television, the short clips of commercials, for animal advocacy knows this. Um, so we know this, but the problem, I think, part of the problem, may not be the complete problem, but like to the extent we attribute this to ourselves fundamentally, instead of understanding, well, yes, we're doing this, but God is making us do this, then we prefer to not look at it because we don't like to see ourselves as people who would do something so horrible. Naturally, we don't like to see God as doing something so horrible either. But here's the thing. God doesn't need us to see God favorably or correctly or whatever for God to be how God wants to be. Whereas, like, if we want to be happy, enjoy our lives, and it's good to kind of like maintain a good image of ourselves and other beings, other human beings. So again, when we attribute this animal cruelty to ourselves and each other, we don't look at it. We look away because it's too painful to acknowledge what we're doing. Whereas if we acknowledge that, well, yes, we are doing this, but it is God that is compelling us to do it, at least we have some absolution. At least we can say to ourselves, well, yes. And actually what we say to ourselves under this accurate understanding, excuse me, is fine, it may not be up to me, but as with everything else, God makes us sometimes do good things for which God rewards us, and then sometimes God makes us do evil things for which God punishes us. And once we have that realization, then out of self-regard, let alone virtue, out of self-regard, we understand that if we want God's blessings to continue, we have to meet God's demands for ever increasing virtue. We ended slavery, we ended the unequal treatment of women to a great extent. We still have ways to go on that. We've just become more compassionate. We've become better people in so many ways. Our world is so much more wonderful and loving and kind today as it was than it was 500 years ago. So, which is something good to keep in mind. All right, got about 8 minutes, and again, God is like messing with me. God's having me drink this beer and stuff, and just like not allowing me to like finish thoughts. I mean, like whatever. All right, now, so 8 minutes. Now, wait a minute. Something, I don't know if you sensed this, listening to this, watching this, but there was a kind of a conflict in my mind, where to go next with my train of thought. And and I guess a part of me thought, hey, come on, it's New Year's Eve. Why are you talking about, well, it's not New Year's Eve, it's January 4th. That's when you'll be seeing this, unless you see it on the internet, because I'll probably upload this before that. Um, but yeah, why with 7 minutes, 6 minutes and 36 seconds, 26 seconds left um, in the new year, why should we be talking about that? Yes, I agree. I mean, like, I think the problem is like, we're immersed with problems. I go through the New York Times, Washington Post, Google News every day, and like they make it seem like the world is falling apart. In some ways it is, but in some ways it isn't. I mean, like, I think we need to restore a bit of balance, me in my personal life, just as I'm basically expressing here, New Year's Eve, and I'm talking about, and again, I don't know. It's not like it's wrong to talk about these things. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to talk about, well, maybe. Anyway, so we've got like 5.5 minutes, 6.5 minutes to the New Year's, and I'm tired. I'm running out of steam here. I got 11 minutes to go on the show, so I gotta like keep talking. I'm gonna try to finish this before this episode. That'll be my goal. We've got to bring this back to God. All right, God. Yeah, let's talk more about God. I'm trying to like I'm looking at my eyes, or I'm looking at the camera. If I look at my camera, there's nothing there. It's just like it's a Logitech 910C, I believe, whatever. But so anyway, if I'm here, it's better because like that way I'm close to my eyes, or close to the camera. Anyway, God. I mean, what should we talk about, God? I think, the first thing we should say about God is that it's good and wise to think about God and to have God in mind throughout one's day, because when one does that, one feels more connected to God, to reality, to other people, to the world. And I'm not going to go into the details of how that works or why that works, but it seems to be the case. So I'll wait a minute. Like, all right, got about 4 minutes left to the New Year's. So now we got to like blend talking about God with the New Year's. Okay. I like doing these episodes. This is kind of like art in a way, I mean, this is like you don't see this kind of stuff on network television. I mean, what program has some guy talking about God? Where they really should. That would be those would be very, very cool shows. But but I thought I was going to finish this. I'm not going to because there's still a bit. I had another one before, whatever. And that's, it seems like it's a one can. I explained this a couple episodes ago. It's like really like 3 cans because it's, the beers that I grew up drinking, and I never drank that much really because my system doesn't tolerate it that much. After a couple of years, a couple of weeks of drinking, I just like, but anyway, like growing up, I see I'm not talking about God or the New Year, whatever. So like, growing up, the beer was about 3% alcohol. All right. Now it's about 6%. This is 5.9%. And it's not a can, it's about a can and a half. So it's like drinking 3 beers. You think you're drinking 1 beer, but it's not. And I mean, again, I'm not going to complain. Um, So, all right, so we've got 2 minutes for the New Year's. And all right, let us make this new year about God, about goodness, about delving into our souls and into our hearts, into our best selves, and having this be about not just ending the pandemic, but ending so many other injustices and just making the world better in so many ways that we are able to. We have the technology and knowledge to do, and all that's lacking is our will. So let's, as a New Year's hope, let us hope that we can summon up this will, and I might describe this will as God's consciousness, of a consciousness of God. If, like, to the extent the world, recognizes we're all God, and that God is everything and God is controlling everything, that might create a shift in our consciousness. That, all right, we've got about like 45 seconds before the new year. I It's January 4th for you. For me, it's New Year. So, like, to God, I guess, because you're not listening to this. I'm listening to this. I hope you had a very, very happy New Year. And I'm totally looking forward to doing a lot of these episodes to really, to get closer to God, to talk about God more, to think about God more, to have God in my consciousness more, and hopefully influence that in you, to motivate you to do the same. So again, I hope you had a happy New Year. Hope you're having a great January 4th, and I'll see you again on the next episode. Thanks. Oh, wait a minute. All right, I'm back. I'm back because it was 12 o'clock, you know, and I forgot that I was going to continue the episode, beyond that. So what I did is I stopped the recording, then I started a new recording. Now I've got to, like, put it together. I got this program that, takes the first video and combines it with the second video, and then you have a full video, and then so whatever. So anyway, so I've got 5 minutes and 20 seconds to keep talking about who knows what. God knows what. I don't know what. God never tells me what God is going to tell me to say until God tells me to say it. And it's the same for you. It's the way the world is. I mean, what can I tell you? Um, so, all right, 5 minutes. I'm, I was thinking, I had a thought, I enjoy doing this. There's two ways that I can do this. One way is to do an episode the night before it's supposed to air. Okay, that's one approach. But that would mean that I can only do 5 episodes a week. Whereas, I should like doing these. So the thought that's coming into my mind is God's putting into my mind, and God already knows the answer of what I'm going to decide, but I don't know yet. So, like, the idea is, like, excuse me, that why don't I create as many shows as I can, you know, and they may be weeks or months before their air date on White Plains Community Media. I can upload them to the internet, in the meantime. But that's something to think about. And again, so, like, this is within the context of the purpose of this show. I really, all right, burping, whatever. All right. The purpose of this show is to bring me and you closer to God. The purpose of this series, okay? To understand God better. So, part of me, now this is how God messes with us sometimes. Part of me is thinking, oh yes, it'd be a great idea to just, like, do 2, 3, 4 episodes a day and keep uploading them, and just, like, each week, the Monday before, whatever, just send them off to the studio, but be months ahead. Okay, that's one idea. The other idea, that's coming from God, which is again, I got about 3 minutes, um, is that, well, nah, that wouldn't be so timely. You'd be like, you'd probably be reaching people better if you just record the episode the day or the night before it's supposed to air. And having just explained that to you, and obviously gone through it myself, because as I'm explaining it, I'm thinking about it, it occurred to me that I think the latter may be the wiser, more virtuous approach. Um, and again, and this, what we're exploring now is that, God makes us have two conflicting kinds of goals or means, approaches. And our job, which is really, it's up to God anyhow, what we ultimately decide on. But our job subjectively is to come up with the right answer. And to be honest, I'm not sure I've come up with the right answer in terms of whether I should do as many episodes as I can, as soon as I can, or to now I'm leaning to just doing a lot of episodes, because if I do a lot of episodes, I'm going to be in this God consciousness a lot more of the time. All right, so again, you got there's timeliness of the episode airing, and there's the benefit of just doing so much more material. That's something that God has placed in my mind, and God will provide an answer to this. I don't have it just yet. We've got about a minute to go in this episode. All right, I want to start doing commercials for the station. Catch this every Monday through Friday on White Plains Community Media Channel 76 if you get Optimum, 45 if you get Verizon, at 5 p.m. Okay, it's on Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Okay, and if you're in some of the surrounding communities like Scarsdale and Ardsley and Hartsdale and Tarrytown, and you get Verizon 45, this is cable cast to those communities also through Verizon, not through Optimum. But anyway, so I hope you had a great New Year's, and I've got about 17 seconds left, and I'm kind of like trying to wait for God to tell me how to end the show, the episode, and he's telling me to just count down 5, 4, 3, 2. See you next time.